Hi, my name is Waijila. I'm a teacher here at the Bread Ahead Bakery School, and on this month's Donut Club, we are going to be doing a gingerbread and caramel donut in line with Christmas. So if you'd like to learn how to make this recipe with us, let's get started. So we're now ready to start with our gingerbread dough. The first step is to warm up your golden syrup on the stove. You can do this on a low heat for a few minutes. The next step is to cream your butter and your light brown sugar together. Make sure you start with the room temperature butter so it's easily creamed. If you start with something cold from the fridge, it will be very difficult. You want to really cream against the side of the bowl, like so. We will now add our warm golden syrup. And mix to combine. Next, our egg is going in. At this stage, I will swap out for a scraper. We'll now add the dry ingredients. So I have my flour ready. Going in are the spices. We have ground ginger and cinnamon, and we have the bicarb. Using your scraper, you're going to combine everything. Once everything is combined, we're going to be wrapping it in some parchment paper and chilling it in the fridge. While our gingerbread biscuit dough is chilling, we're going to carry on with our other prep. We have to make our custard. So I'm going to start by making a direct caramel. Inside the pot, I have some caster sugar and a little bit of golden syrup. To make a direct caramel, you have to melt this down on the hob until it's a gorgeous amber color, and you will smell the caramelization of the sugar. So our sugar has now caramelized. It's a lovely amber color. We're now going to be pouring in some slightly warmed milk and cream, and then we're going to be warming that back up until it steams and will be ready for the next step. In the meantime, we are going to prepare the custard base. So I do have my egg yolk here. I'm going to be whisking that up with a little bit of dark brown sugar. now going to be adding in some plain flour that's going to help thicken up the custard. You can see it's nice and thick, and it's kind of keeping its shape when you let some drip off of the whisk. We're now ready to temper. So tempering is when you add a hot liquid, so in this case it's our caramel milk and cream, to a sensitive protein, which is the egg yolk. So we won't be pouring everything at once, we will do it bit by bit. So you do want to completely whisk through before you add anything else. Once everything has been whisked through, you're going to return this to the stove to thicken it out. You will have to have your Biscoff spread pre-weighed and ready to go. As your custard does thicken up on the stove, we're going to be adding that in right in the final moments. You can see the custard is getting nice and thick. At this point, we're going to add our Biscoff and just whisk that through. So you're probably wondering, yes, it is very thick. You do need it to be thick. We are going to add some whipped cream to lighten it up later. Once it's all cooled down, you do need your custard to be stable, because if it's being piped into a donut, you want it to be standing in its place and not kind of falling out the donut. So at this stage, we're going to be cooling it in the fridge. To do so, you need either a low container or a pan, and we're going to be covering it with cling film. The thinner you spread out your custard, the quicker it will cool down. So it's always advisable to use a low container or tray. So the reason we are adding some cling on the top is just to ensure that a skin doesn't form on the top of the custard as it cools down. So it's always important to make sure that the cling actually touches the custard, and that will then chill in the fridge. We'll come back to it in a couple of hours. We are now going to lighten our custard together. To do that, we need some double cream, which we're going to whip to stiff peaks. We're then going to loosen out a bit of the custard, and then we'll fold through the rest so it's nice and light. Firstly, I need to remove the custard from the tray into a large bowl. I'm now going to start the whisking. So a tip I can offer you when you're whisking is not to stir. So a lot of the time people will just kind of move the cream around. You do need to create kind of a balloon motion, so it's going around in a circle. And also you can hear the whisk against the bowl. Cream also has a habit of looking like nothing is happening and then suddenly it's really thick, so just be careful. Okay, nice and stiff. I can put it above my head without it falling down, so we're good to go. So what we'll do is add about half of that double cream and loosen out the custard before folding through the remaining half. Okay. Okay, and that is it. We're now going to be popping that in the fridge to chill before adding our crumb. We're now ready to roll out our gingerbread dough. To do that, we're going to be rolling it between two pieces of parchment paper. What you can do to avoid it sticking is lightly dust with flour, also the dough itself. And we will then be using a few festive cutters and baking those in the oven for our garnish. We are rolling this to about 5 ml thick, which is approximately the same thickness of a pound coin. If you're not sure, you can occasionally check. Okay, I am happy with that. So I'm going to use some star cutters. I've got a line tray ready to go. And it's up to you. You could use really small ones if you want quite small, petite garnish stars, or you could use a slightly bigger one and then you'll just have the one. If you can get your hands on a little gingerbread man, you can do the same. Okay, we're all good to go in the oven. Remember, you can still bake off the scraps and blitz them for your crumb. So we're going to bake both trays at 170 fan for about 9 minutes. So we're now ready to take our gingerbread stars out of the oven. So we're just going to leave these to cool on the cooling rack, and we'll come back at the end when we're assembling our donuts. So that is 50 grams of our biscuit that we are going to now blitz up. So we have a nice crumb. This will add a beautiful texture in our custard. So when you're ready, add this and fold it through. Okay, for piping ease, we will add this to a piping bag, and the easiest way to do that, put your piping bag over a jug or even a glass so that it can be a hands-free moment. So now that everything is ready, we're finally ready for the piping. I've got my donuts in front of me. The first step is to create a cavity for the filling to go. So I'm going to be using a butter knife to do that. You will insert it about 2/3, not going all the way through, and then you will just kind of swivel the knife left and right. We want to make sure that we can fill a lot of custard inside. You can also use scissors to do this. Both work the same. So we're ready for the filling. You're going to cut the tip of the piping bag, hold the base of the donut. You'll insert the piping bag in the top, and you're just going to go to the top until it's just peeking out. So you just want the creme pat to sneak through. Okay, now that we've done that, we can go in for the second round, which is to create a nice little hat or a peak on top. To do so, you're going to go on top, press down and lift up. Now that we've got our beautiful peaks on top of the donut, I'm going to finish off with a little bit of the extra crumb that I kept back and my little stars for the garnish. Just going to stick a few pieces of the crumb on top. And then I'm just going to wedge the star. How cute is that? And there we have it. So we have created a lot of biscuits for this recipe, and you only use a few for the garnish. These biscuits are a great gift to give this Christmas, so please package them up and give them to friends and family. So for your leftover creme pat, you can use this to accompany a Christmas dessert. It will be good for another 3 days in the fridge. Or you can just sit on the couch and pipe it directly from the bag. Why not? You only live once. Well, there you have it. We have our lovely gingerbread donuts. I really hope you enjoyed this class. And remember, donuts are best eaten on the day that they are made, but you can keep them till tomorrow if you can't finish all 5 in one sitting. I really love making these donuts with you, and I wish you all a fabulous Christmas. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, because next year there'll be a lot of new content coming your way.